All Stars Online is brought to you by season sponsor Alpro, a certified Danone B Corp company focused on making the best barista-crafted plant-based drinks. The full range consists of the soya, almond, coconut, and gluten-free oat drinks. They've been created with high bar performance and quality in mind, so you'll be able to find an ingredient that complements your coffee perfectly, regardless of flavor profile, processing, origin, or roast. Hello and welcome to All Stars Online Season 5. I'm your host, Sierra, the coffee specialist for Alpro UK. And this week, I'm super excited to be joined by the 2021 World Barista Championship finalist from the USA, Andrea Allen, co-founder of Onyx Coffee Lab in Arkansas in the United States. How are you, Andrea, and where are you right now?
I'm so good. Thank you. I'm at our headquarters in Rogers and we have like a cupping lab up above the rest of the cafe. So I'm up here and like see the ceiling behind me. And it's a really fun place to just sit and watch folks like walking around, enjoying coffee and checking out our roastery and stuff like that.
Nice. I was like, if that is your gaff, it is one hell of a fancy gaff. So great. That sounds amazing. Yeah. Is it possible to lift up your laptop and show us a little bit about, of the cafe and the cupping lab at all?
Yeah. So here's like the cupping lab area. Whoops, there we go. So we've got, we just have like a little table, and then in the back there we have like some kettles and stuff like that, a grinder, and then over on, oh my gosh, I'm like the worst person to have show you this, but like here's part of the cafe.
Oh, very nice.
The roastery back here. Yeah, and then over here, get a little bit of sunlight. We've got our bakery down here, which is cool. And then over here, just like have some more seating, stuff like that. Yeah, so it's a place kind of like built for makers. So we have our roastery, and then that's our bakery down there. And then there's a taquiera and mezcal bar that is owned by the Rios family, and they grow all of their own like corn and produce and things like that right here in the area, and then make all of their products from things from their farm. We've got a cocktail bar above the roastery called the Foreman, and it overlooks the roasting facility. And then there's a 20-seat tasting restaurant inside of the bar above the roastery that's like a really good friend of ours who's a very talented chef. And so it's really fun to be in the space. There's a lot of like creative energy and just like a lot of fun. So yeah.
Oh, sounds amazing. My ears kind of perked up at mezcal, and I was like, yes, that sounds like a place I want to visit. Yeah. And I think also for all of us who haven't been able to travel in the last, I guess, 2 years, just a little impromptu tour to take a look at your workplace, and it's super cool.
Thank you.
No problem. Before we get stuck in properly, I'd first like to say a warm thank you to our season sponsor, Alpro, who has sponsored season 5 of our WBC All-Star series. And our stars will be making some delicious signature beverages with Alpro's range of plant-based ingredients, so stay tuned to check that out. In this episode, I'm going to be chatting with Andrea about her coffee career, competitions, and more. We also have Andrea's signature beverage video, and I'm really looking forward to that. And then we have some coffee stories from other all-stars. And finally, Andrea will be sharing her coffee playlist for us all to listen to after the show, so you don't want to miss that. So we're going to start with a quick few questions for you, Andrea. One thing that sticks out for me, because I was there at Host Milan in 2021, kind of watching you, recount for us the moment on the barista stage, the day the finalists were waiting for the results, kind of what stuck out for you?
Yeah, it was overwhelming. The US competition was at the very beginning of 2020. So it had been like over a year and a half since I had competed. Just being there in that moment, having made the finals with all of those folks that came before me, and then all of the people standing there with me, I just felt so grateful. And also just humbled to be there with the rest of the competitors that I thought were so incredible.
And you've been in this scene for, several years. I think I remember you saying 8 years at that point when you stepped onto the stage in 2021. So that's a long time. Yeah. How did you first get into it? I mean, to get into competitions at all?
Basically, we were trying to make a name for ourselves as a company. And my husband, John, saw coffee competition online and he showed it to me. He said, hey, check this out. This is cool. You should do this. You would be good at it. And for me, I'm kind of prideful. So I was like, I mean, what you want me to go to this thing so I can like prove that I like know how to make drinks? Like I know how to make drinks and I know how to be a barista, and I don't have anything to prove. And he was like, I mean, stop thinking about yourself. It's not about you proving something. It's about the fact that we're a new coffee company and we want people to believe when we say we have great coffee. We want them to believe that what we're saying is true and be willing to try our coffee. Honestly, my first competition was really bad. I mean, because I didn't understand the way that the drinks were scored and I didn't know how to present the flavor notes in a way that they were scoreable and things like that. So it was kind of embarrassing, honestly. But really, like after a couple of weeks after I recovered, I was like, oh, I can do way better than that. Like I can learn. And like we had looked over our score sheets and I was kind of like, okay, I totally get it. I just like was really close in a lot of areas and I just need to really learn how the competition works. And so after that, I was hooked. I'm a real competitive person, obviously. And so, I really was like, okay, I want to go back and I want to do good. Like, I think I can win.
No, for sure. And I mean, do you think John has been right about the fact that he, when he asked you to compete all those years ago, and then, do you feel like that's correlated to the success of Onyx overall?
Yeah, I think it's definitely contributed a ton. And I feel like it really helped us get our foot in the door, because when we first rebranded and we first started roasting, we would just cold call cafes all over the country, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, New York, and say, hey, we're Onyx Coffee Lab. We have really great coffee. We'd love to send you some samples. And they would say, who? And we would, oh, it's Onyx Coffee Lab. And they're like, oh, interesting. Where are you at? And we're like, oh, we're in Arkansas. And they would say, oh, no, that's okay. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm sending them for free. They're like, no, we're good. So it was like a real interesting, I mean, just because no one knew who we are and were, and like, they were like, what would set you apart from anyone else? You're saying you have good coffee, but do you? And so, it really helped us show our community like, hey, we know what we're doing in coffee. We have great coffees. We know how to roast and source and all those kinds of things. So yeah, it definitely helped us like get our foot in the door in the specialty community in the US for sure. And just helped give us like that push that we needed, that we didn't know how to do else otherwise. So
that's amazing. I mean, and speaking of coffee, I want to ask you a couple of questions about the coffees that you used on the world stage last year. But I actually want to focus more on the decision to blend. Tell us a little bit more about that as a strategic competitive approach, because you had a lot of people this year, both in baristas and in brewers, I believe, choosing to blend their coffees, which then made it into the finals. So, what was that about?
We were really thinking about, okay, how can we create an espresso method or a particular coffee, or how can we create a situation that is consistent across the board for me as a barista? And so we had started playing with Eugenioides in the roastery some. It's good. It's amazing. The coffee is incredible. All of the things that we know and love about it. It is incredibly consistent. Always got its core flavor profile. I was tasting it and making it as espresso, but it's also, in my opinion, a little bit polarizing. I think you can taste it and kind of feel like, I don't know what I'm tasting. So that was kind of one thought. And then my other thought is that the Serra Azul Geisha and the Cafe Granja La Esperanza family of farms is really important to me. I have competed with their coffee in one way or another every season I've competed. And I love their coffee. So we kind of thought like, hey, let's just put these two coffees together and see what happens. And it was magic. I mean, it basically took the potential for unbalanced in terms of flavor away, because like it took that incredible sweetness from the Junoides and then that beautiful wild citrus acidity from the Serra Azul and just put them together. And it created this incredibly tasty, balanced, like really heavy kind of body that the espresso got from the Junoides. And it's a really cool experience.
I mean, yeah, I remember watching you and just thinking, oh my gosh, like one over the other. So they must be extracting in some sort of gradient. It's not the same as if you just put them together. And it was blowing my mind.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing to watch.
Yeah.
So really good job on that.
Thanks.
One. What do you think then is the next big coffee trend?
I don't totally know, but I'm going to throw this out there. I think we're going to continue to see more wild kinds of fermentation processing happening. I think we're going to see like the industry kind of can keep going pretty far along that path. And I think we're going to like actually come back to clean washed coffees. I think that we're going to have like a reversal. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I mean, I'm quite excited for that. So, right, we're going to move very quickly into the next round, and this is going to be our photo round. And you submitted a photo to the SCA team. You said that you were digging through your archives yesterday, and you had a little look, and it kind of blew me away. It's blowing me away right now. And please tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that's just a picture of me in a barrel race, which is like a horse race competition. I grew up riding horses and competing for fun, and I learned a ton from horses. And I took a break in my 20s just because I was going to school and working and didn't have time or like the opportunity to do it. But I got back into it in my late 20s, and I've been doing it for a while. And so I love horses. I also love competing. So for me, horses is a really great outlet for all of my like energy, because I need to be working on something all the time. My mom and I did it all together when I was growing up, and I have two daughters. They're ages 7 and 3, and the 7-year-old is riding with me. And so now it's my mom and me and my girls, and we do it together, and it's just something that's really close to my heart. So yeah, that's just a picture of me like trying to not fall off and trying to go as fast as I can.
You're smashing it. Now we're actually going to move into watching your signature beverage video. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about what you've got up your sleeve, Andrea?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I'm making signature drinks, I'm always wanting to view coffee as like a really special ingredient in like a whole experience. So that usually like drives all of my like creation of signature drinks. And so yeah, this is a fun drink, and I hope that y'all get a chance to try it out wherever you're at. Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Allen. I'm one of the co-founders of Onyx Coffee Lab. I'm the 2020 US Barista Champion and the 2021 second place World Barista Champion. And I'm bringing today to you a drink that is super fun. It is a combination of a drink that we serve on our menu at Onyx, and then also takes inspiration from a really incredible coffee that we just got into the roastery. The coffee we just got in, we're calling Cloud9 Geisha. It's from the Tolima region of Colombia, and it's produced by Milton Monroe. This coffee has incredible florals to it, really nice, solid, light sweetness, kind of like a raw sugar. And it has some really nice, subtle berry flavor to it as well. It's just really incredible, very drinkable, awesome floral espresso. So basically, the breakdown of the drink that's on our menu is called a FOMO. So it's essentially like a little bit of black sweetened coffee on the bottom, topped with cold shaken cream, which is really incredible. This drink tastes really great, and it also provides some really interesting differences in temperature. So you've got that hot on the bottom, cold on the top. The texture of the two different layers of the drink is also really interesting. So the top cream is cold, viscous, sweet, thick. It's gonna kind of coat your palate. And then as you're drinking it, you also get that warm,
comforting, beautiful coffee coming through on the bottom. So basically, the riff on the drink is essentially that instead of hot water and espresso, which would be kind of a standard Americano as the base of this drink, I'm gonna use a really floral tea. It's called Moonlight Tea. It's a broadleaf white tea, has a lot of nice florals to it, gardenia, has a little bit of like earthy, sugary sweetness to it as well. So I'm gonna steep this just really lightly. I don't want it to overwhelm the drink. It's kind of an interesting proposition to put tea and coffee together. So what I'm gonna do is just let it steep for about 1.5 minutes. Gonna decant it, and then I'll use that as the base of the drink. So while that's steeping, I'm gonna add a little bit of sweetness to the bottom. So to help bring out the floral nature of the coffee and kind of like bridge the tea and the coffee flavors going on, I'm gonna use some floral honey in the bottom. And then for the cold foam on the top, I'm gonna use heavy cream, coconut cream, and just a little touch of a simple syrup just to like sweeten it up and let it, which will help like, again, bridge kind of some of those florals into that cold cream on the top. Let's talk a little bit about how I brewed this coffee. So I just made a really straightforward espresso shot using 21 grams in. I always pull out like approximately 42 grams. And I did this one in 20 seconds. This is kind of my like standard go-to recipe for these really like delicate, really beautiful geisha coffees that we get in from time to time. I use that as a starting place, and I just pulled this shot and didn't do a ton of messing with the grind. It's on a like almost on a 1 on an EK43. Really straightforward, really simple. I feel like some of these really beautiful, delicate coffees don't need a ton of manipulation in the extraction. I just want it to be extracted enough to like really be balanced. So have like some really great sweetness, but also like be like a short enough style shot in terms of time to really show off that sweetness, the acidity, and the floral nature from the coffee itself, which I feel like it did really well in this. Okay, I think our tea's about ready, so I'm gonna let this decant. So the build and like the instructions on this drink are super simple. What gives it all of its complexity is the tea combined with the espresso, and then some of the stuff we're gonna do to finish the drink off at the top. All right, so I'm gonna get a good amount of tea going on in here. I'm just gonna like stir up the honey in the bottom, just make sure everything is nice, even and balanced in the bottom before I put our coffee in. I'm just gonna use 1 shot of espresso in this. You can always use 2. For me, balance is something I'm always looking for in coffee and in coffee beverages. So I like want to also still taste the tea. I want to taste a little bit of that honey sweetness. I want to really taste the cream on the top. So I don't want to get too much coffee going on in here, because coffee kind of just tends to dominate this drink if you get too much espresso in it. But at the same time, if you're like all in, you want to like that really like strong kind of characteristic of espresso, you can use both shots. Okay. One of the things I'm always talking about coffee is that coffee is so complex, it tastes amazing. It's also brown, which is kind of a color that isn't always super intriguing. So when I'm making like signature drinks, I'm always thinking about like the color and just like the things we can do to help make drinks pop. Brown is totally great. Coffee is brown, it's gonna be brown, but like putting together something that like can help showcase a palette of color is also really fun. So I'm gonna shake this for a really long time because I really wanna get a lot of air whipped into it, because what my hope is that the cream is gonna lay really nicely over the top of the coffee. I don't really want very much of mixing of the drink at this point. I wanna like maintain that like really nice line between the base, the brown base at the bottom, and the white of the top. Okay. Whew. All right. So I'm just gonna lay this really nice and softly over the top because I'm hoping to just layer it on. I don't want to get a ton of mixing. I'm gonna pour all the way up to the top. Awesome. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of powdered sugar and I'm just gonna like powder across the top. This is less for flavor and more just like I wanna create like a nice like matte sort of palette on the top. For me, this drink is, I like to think of it as like basically like just a bouquet of delicate flowers that have all of that really nice like floral on the nose, nice sweetness, tons of balance. I also just like have a little tiny bit of the tea in this spritzer. And before I put the powdered sugar on, I'm gonna like spray this across the top because I just wanna like really encourage that floral on the nose. Okay. All right, that's really great. And then I'm just gonna garnish it with the flower. Just to help like give it a nice, beautiful touch on the top. Just wanna like help reinforce that like floral experience that you're about to have with this drink. Okay, there we go, that's the end. Thanks so much for joining me. Make this at home, make it in your cafe, try it out. It has like tons of really fun potential. You can put all kinds of like colors in the foam. You can use different coffees on the bottom. Like it's a really great, just kind of like standard of a style of drink to play around with.
Great. Well, I'm super excited to try that. I've got all the products at home, so I'm going to definitely give that a go for sure. And we've got a couple more questions for you, Andrea, so hang in there with us. What was it like to compete on the world stage, especially coming out from a pandemic? Because I know that, you know, watching your routine, a lot of the focus was on the little pleasures that we've missed, you know, from being such a people-focused industry. So what did that feel like for you? But it felt really surreal as well.
Every time I go to a competition, I try to think, what does the industry need to hear? Like, what can I bring to this conversation? And I'm a real like socially kind of driven person. Like I'm always wanting to bring some sort of like really relevant topic to the stage, because my firm belief is that all the trends we see in coffee preparation, processing, different variety, all of that stuff flows out of the world stage. And so I think that as competitors, when you get to that level, you have a responsibility to, you know, bring yourself to the table, but also like bring something really important. And so for me, coming out of the pandemic, I just felt like so much of community and so much of like the connection in coffee service has been lost because of necessity. Like we've had to alter the way we make coffee. A lot of us across the world off and on are wearing masks. Like we have barriers built up between us and the customers. And so I just wanted to bring like a message of like connection. I wanted to like give like a moment and hold space for all the things that we have lost in this time, but really just saying like, hey, like, let's re-engage with coffee service and all of the like beautiful things about coffee that drew us all into the industry in the first place. And let's like remember what those things are and how much they mean to us. And let's go out and do that again. So, you know, for me, I was like really nervous because I touched the judges. So that was like a really like
that moment gave me goosebumps. I'm not gonna lie. The first time you did it, I was like, oh, she did not. And it was really good to watch. So, I know. No one's ever done that. And I was like, whoa. So I mean, what went into that moment for you, you know?
I had always dreamed of doing that on the world stage. I just washed the judges' hands with rose water. And the goal was just like give a little refresh, take a moment to talk about something that wasn't like details about coffee, to also give the judges a break. I feel like I've actually never judged, but I feel like that judges have so much work to do. And I know that they're all so focused on getting down all the details and making sure they do everything correctly. And like, for me, I'm like, hey, this, I also want this to be fun and engaging. So I don't want to just be like giving this onslaught of data to the judges. I wanted them to like, just, hey, let's just take a moment and think like we're on the world stage. This is incredible. And like, let's just connect. And so, but yeah, I was scared because it's like a pandemic, and like, I didn't know if I was allowed to touch them. I didn't know if when I did that, it was going to be really off-putting to them, because I think like people have all kinds of feelings about touching someone. Some's good and some not. And so, but yeah, we just decided to do it. I felt like this was my opportunity to be on that stage, and I was like, I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't do what I wanted it to do, that just is what it is. And like, I felt like I had a real obligation to bring that and to do that there. And I'm really grateful that the judges trusted me and went with me and engaged with me, because it was really special and it was really fun. So
Yeah, it was, I think it was such an intimate moment to witness, because then you realize that coffee is really one person to another, and you know, and it always was that. And I just don't think it really hit until that point, you know, coming out of the pandemic. So thank you for that. It was such a beautiful routine.
yeah.
I guess my final question for you is kind of, how has competing helped or changed you?
I mean, competing has done a lot for me. It has taught me about pushing myself to an incredible level of excellence. And I just think like having competition as like a space where like I can like work hard, I can create something. My husband John and I like make our presentations together. We make our coffee recipes together. Like, so for us, it's this opportunity to like take what we love about the industry and also take what we think needs to change about the industry and form this presentation that we then take to our community that we love and show it to them and ask them to change.
And there just seems like there's this whole breadth of human experience that you get to kind of witness when you're competing, which sounds incredible. So I'm hoping that you get to inspire so many more and, you know, a whole new generation of people to compete and really move this industry forward. We are going to move on to our next segment now, which is our coffee story segment. We've reached out to a few people in the industry to ask them how they first got into coffee, and because we all have our own story of how and why, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hi guys, I'm Shin from Osaka, Japan. So today I'm gonna talk about how did I become barista, how to keep motivation, and why I started working coffee industry. It's my coffee story. So before barista, I was chef in Japan when I was 28 years old. I was looking for my dreams, and I was really struggling about what do I want to be and what do I want to do in the future. Because I didn't have a motivation in my life when I was 28 years old. So my father bought a coffee machine and he showed me about YouTube, which is how to make coffee and how to make a latte art as well. So when I tried them, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to become barista. And then I was Googling, where's the best coffee in the world? I just found Melbourne, which is Australia. And I was Googling again, where's the best coffee in Melbourne? I just found S5E2. And then 2 weeks later, I just left Osaka to Melbourne. It was a really good decision, but it was a really difficult situation as well, because I didn't know how to make coffee. I didn't have experience. I didn't know speaking English. It was a problem. It was difficult, but it was really good decision of my life. So before leaving the country, my friends say to me, it's impossible. If you don't speak English, if you don't have experience, it's impossible. I said, it's possible, because I have a motivation about making coffee. And I went to S5E2 2013. I met Mr. Salvatore, who is CEO at S5E2. I was asking to him, I want to become barista. And he asked me, why? And I said to him, I like coffee. And I got an opportunity working in S5E2. But I was kitchen hand at the moment. I cut 600 orange almost every day. It was really busy cafe. And a few years I practiced by myself. I didn't give up because I wanna be good barista as well. And then I decided to join competition 2016, which was also latte art championship. So I got a second place, and I got to join again in 2017. I got a second place again. It was a little bit disappointing by myself because I wanted to become champion. And then finally I made it 2018. I won also latte art championship. It was an amazing experience. I was very excited to join the World Latte Art Championship in 2018 in Brazil. But unfortunately I got a fourth place in the world. But you know, it's pretty hard sometimes. We don't know what's going on. But I did my best for the World Championship at the moment. After a few years, coronavirus situation was difficult too. And I decided to go back to Japan. And because I really want to start my company before leaving Japan, before barista, I decided to come back to Japan. I established the company by myself with my friends. We actually opened a small roastery in Osaka, and just really small roastery, but it was really busy cafe too. And it was a really good decision as well. So now I want to say to if someone want to join a competition, you have to practice a lot. It's really difficult. But if you think possible, it's possible. If you think impossible, impossible. So now my dreams came true. I got a champion of the national. I joined the World Championship, and I made my company as well. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.
So I'd love to thank Andrea for answering our questions, and I'd also love to thank our series sponsor Alpro for sending our competitors some products and so that they can make signature beverages for us. And don't forget that on Thursday, Andrea will be live on the Barista Guild's Instagram Live, where she will be chatting some more about her coffee career. So we'll see you then. We hope you enjoyed the show. We're now going to leave you with a link to Andrea's playlist. Andrea, would you like to introduce your playlist and some memorable songs that have made it into the running just before you leave?
Oh my gosh, I feel I love all kinds of music, so my playlist is a reflection of that. It's not a cool playlist, but it is a playlist, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So y'all enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, don't worry about it. It's just things I like. So thank you for taking a chance on my playlist.
But thank you so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate it.